Hi, my name is Sebastiaan, and I'm an ex-social anxiety disorder sufferer, a social confidence coach, and the host of a podcast where I interview scientists, healers, psychotherapists, psychologists, coaches on their best social anxiety solutions. And I'm answering a question from someone under a video. It starts out with a comment and then it moves into a question. The video under which that was placed was titled "How to Stop Worrying About What Others Think of You." And then the comment is, "I want to thank you, Sebastiaan. I tried it for the first time today before a common social situation in which I normally feel a little anxious, and it did go very well. It even was a very awkward situation, but external to me, not because of my anxiety, in which normally I would have freaked out. But I felt in the flow and overcame it like it was nothing. During the event, it never crossed my mind the anxious stream of thoughts that we're all familiar with. I mean, it was normal for me, and I was myself. Wow, that is a relief. Really, thank you." I replied to that, "Cheers for checking in and letting others know when you actually do the tapping, you get the results." And he replied to that saying, and this is like a couple of weeks later, "Sebastiaan, in your experience using EFT, does it help with all the negative beliefs that provoke the social anxiety, or just with the symptoms? I mean, one thing you will agree with me is that all the negative beliefs avalanche that turns into social anxiety affects us in, well, our whole lives, not just in not being outgoing. Being awkward and all messed up in public is the very least of our problems. I'd like to know your opinion, Sebastiaan." Okay, Armando, thanks for your question. It's not super clear to me what you mean, so I'm gonna make an assumption based on what I think you're saying. Does it help with all the negative beliefs that provoke the social anxiety, or just with the symptoms? So this guy came, did the tapping before he went out to a social situation, had a great result, and now a couple of months later, likely what I expect, or a couple of weeks later, likely what I expect, he's not able to hold on to his changes, because these videos that I put on YouTube are just like 10 minutes or 15 minutes and sometimes 25 minutes where I guide you through some tapping, and that's just dealing with some of the symptoms of the deeper underlying problems. And the deeper underlying problems, for example, are the beliefs that he speaks about. Beliefs such as, I'm not good enough, I'm unlovable, people are mean and out to get me, people don't like me, I can't trust people, the world is a dangerous place, I'm not safe. These kind of beliefs have been formed, at some point in life, and these are the beliefs that cause you to not feel safe. Not feel safe to be yourself. And as a result of not being safe in a situation, that's when your brain perceives danger. And whenever the brain perceives danger, it fires off the fight, flight, freeze response in order to protect you from that danger that it perceives. And when that fight, flight, freeze response gets activated, hormones get flooded in your body, adrenaline, cortisol, stress hormone, blood goes away from your digestive system into your outer limbs, preparing you to fight or flee from the danger that your brain perceives, or freeze if you can't do any of that. And it's the anxiety is really just a response to the deeper underlying problems. And his question is, can you do the tapping only on the symptoms, or can you also work on the deeper underlying stuff? Well, when I do a tapping video like that, I can only work on the symptoms and maybe address some of the deeper underlying stuff, but I can just chip away at it. I can't really be specific with just a simple video like that addresses the masses, rather than, when you actually start doing some digging, you figure out what your unique underlying issues are, where they come from, which is what you do in the social confidence system, or which is what you do when you work with a coach. A coach will help you with that. And so, the conclusion or short answer is that it does help to do the tapping on some of the symptoms, and it will reduce it. And in some situations, like what Armando experienced, you get rid of it, but it's temporary. It doesn't really fix the problem, because you need to deal with those beliefs that you learned. So once you feel safe being yourself, that's when the anxiety is no longer there. But in order to feel safe being yourself, you need to get rid of these beliefs. For example, if you have a core belief that says, I'm not worthy, everyone else is better than me, I'm just not as good as them, then it's not safe to be yourself. Because, what does your opinion matter when you come at the world from that kind of belief system? It doesn't matter. So people can shoot you down and it will hurt really much. And what other people say is very important, and what you have to say in response to them doesn't really matter. So you're not safe. And with that, all these other beliefs cause you to not feel safe. If you believe that people don't like you, man, you can't say whatever comes to mind, because it's risky. They might reject you, and that hurts. And you've had experiences in the past where that was true. So that needs to be dealt with. And you can use EFT for that. Yes, absolutely. And it is very effective to use EFT on that. It's just not as easy to put that in a 10-minute video. We're talking about a whole course explaining how to do that. So let me see if I can answer the second part of the so-called question. I mean, one thing you will agree with me is that all the negative avalanche turns into social anxiety affect us in our whole lives, not just in not being outgoing. Being awkward and all messed up in public is the very least of our problems. Being awkward and all messed up in public is the very least of our problems. I don't agree with you there. Being awkward and not being okay with it, judging yourself for it, not being perfect in a social situation, not being perfect in a social situation and judging yourself for it, that's part of the problem. That's part of what makes you not feel safe socially. And whenever you don't feel safe socially, there's that anxiety response as a result of the fight, flight, freeze being activated. And the same thing with, you say something about not being outgoing, presupposing that you should be outgoing, or presupposing that if you're introverted, you have a problem. Well, if you're introverted, you can also be calm and relaxed in a social situation, as long as you don't have these ideas that I must be confident, I shouldn't be uncomfortable, they should never see me sweat, I should never have any form of anxiety or nervousness or tension or whatever, and if I do, I'm a loser and I don't belong and blah blah blah. All of that stuff needs to be out of your mind, and EFT and various other energy psychology techniques are very effective in that. And yeah, that's my answer. Here's my very imperfect answer to your question. Thanks for asking. So hope that's been helpful. I have a whole interview with a psychotherapist who's also a energy psychology expert on the topic of introversion and extroversion. Then she goes into a lot more detail on how you can become comfortable as an introvert. And that is just one of the 50 episodes that I have with psychologists, scientists, and so on. And you can find all of that by going to socialanxietysolutions.com/SAS/podcast, or just check the link below this video or go to my website, socialanxietysolutions.com. Thanks again for your question. If you have a question, please send it to me and I'll answer it for you on video. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon.